Okay, it says go live. Preparing to stream your meeting. Do we believe it? No, we never do. We don't know what's going on. But I'm going to talk to you anyway. And we're live. Hello, and welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. I'm Lisa. I will be your librarian today. Today's show, we're going to talk about December yellow labels. Yellow labels at Mobile Public Library are mystery, crime, thriller, and suspense. And it's a literal yellow label. That's why I call it that. So we're going to talk about the ones that Mobile Public Library has pre-ordered and are coming out in December. You can put them on hold now because they're already in the catalog. One note. Today would be the day when you just get like a full second of me moaning on the live stream. Because of schedule machinations, we're going to do the giveaway and it'll work more or less the same way it always has, but I won't be able to start giving, like literally sending the books to the branch that you want to pick them up at until tomorrow afternoon. So absolutely put your comment in there because Facebook gives me a stamp, so I know a timestamp, so I know who's commented for which book first. If you're the first person to put the title of the book you want and your MPL location for pickup in the comments below, then you will be the one to get that book. I ask that you only put in one book, but if when I come in tomorrow afternoon and I figure it all out, if there are still books left and you were the second person or the third person trying to get a book, I may offer you one of those. I also have a bunch of older titles that I offered on previous Tea and New Book Tuesdays and nobody wanted. So I kind of always have books to give away. If you're seeing this later and you think everything's already been given away, you can give me nonfiction or fiction or genre, and I'll respond to your comment with some different titles that you might enjoy, and then I can send you one of those. Basically, I want everyone who wants a book to get a book. But time for your favorite part of Tea and New Book Tuesday and mine, the giveaway. It's very weird to not be seeing myself. There I am. Yes, I am live stream. I'm on Facebook. I'm aware. Okay. So I have 6 books to give away. 1 that hasn't come out yet. 2 that are nonfiction. And my 4 fiction are all thriller, suspense, or mysteries. So yellow labels to go with today. But it's a lot of really interesting titles, so I think you'll enjoy it. First up is a book that isn't out yet, Boundless Leadership. The full title is Boundless Leadership, the breakthrough method to realize your vision, empower others, and ignite positive change. So that's some serious promises right there. And it's described as providing a complete and systematic roadmap to finding meaning in your work, realizing your full leadership potential, and inspiring your team with resilience, innovation, compassion, and confidence. So that's Boundless Leadership. Next up, our second nonfiction book, 10 Lives, 10 Demands. Life and death stories. I can't read. I was trying to read on the screen backwards. My brain is not going to do that right now. Anyway, life and death stories and a Black activist blueprint for racial justice. So this addresses, it's a relatively thin book with a very serious subject, but it does address 10 of the people who have died in circumstances where, quite frankly, they should not have died, and how that is both influenced by racial injustice and how it can be corrected. So that, to me, looks like a very interesting, albeit somewhat short read, but 10 Lives, 10 Demands. Next up, our first fiction title, The Corpse Flower. I think we talked about this. And of course, we talked about it and then they sent a copy to the acquisitions librarian, so now I have one to give away. I kind of wish they would get them to me before I talked about them, but whatever. We give them when we get them. It's fine. But this is by Annette Hancock. And it is for fans of Joe Nesbo and Henning Mankell. It's early September in Copenhagen. The rain has been coming down for weeks, and 36-year-old journalist Heloise Caledon is in the middle of a nightmare. One of her sources has been caught lying, and she could lose her job over it. And then she receives the first in a series of cryptic and ominous letters from an alleged killer. Wanted in connection with the fatal stabbing of a young lawyer 3 years earlier, Anna Keel hasn't been seen by anyone since she left the crime scene covered in blood. The police think she fled the country and have zero clues as to her motive. But homicide detective Eric Schaefer comes up with the first lead when the reporter who first wrote about the case is found murdered in his apartment. Has Anna Keel struck again, or is there more than one killer at large? And why does every clue point directly to Heloise Caledon? Meanwhile, the letters keep coming, and they hint at a connection between Anna and Heloise. As Heloise starts digging deeper, she realizes that to tell Anna's story, she will have to revisit the darkest parts of her own past, confronting someone she swore she'd never see again. So that's The Corpse Flower. Next up, did we talk about this one or not? I'm not sure. Animal by Lisa Taddeo. Okay. The tagline on the back, honestly, sometimes I think it's the only recourse, killing men in times like these. Joan had spent a lifetime enduring the cruelties of men, but when one of them commits a shocking act of violence in front of her, she flees New York City in search of Alice, the only person alive who can help her make sense of her past. In the sweltering hills above Los Angeles, Joan unravels the horrific event she witnessed as a child that has haunted her every waking moment, while forging the power to finally strike back. Here, in the electrifying debut from Lisa Taddeo, author of the #1 New York Times bestselling and international phenomenon, Three Women, which was named to more than 30 best of the year lists and hailed as a dazzling achievement and a heartbreaking, okay, more about that book. Anyway, Animal is a depiction of female rage at its rawest and a visceral exploration of the fallout from a male-dominated society. With writing that scorches and mesmerizes, Taddeo illustrates one woman's exhilarating transformation from prey into predator. So that's Animal. That came out in June. This one came out in September. It's called Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Curian. And there's no description on the back. Do I know this? Okay, here it is. Meet Chloe Sevra. She's a freshman honor student, a legging-wearing hot girl next door who also happens to be a psychopath. Her hobbies include yoga lattes, frat parties, and plotting to kill Will Bachman, a childhood friend who grievously wronged her. Chloe is one of 7 students at her DC-based college who are part of an unusual clinical study of psychopaths. Students like herself who lack empathy and can't comprehend emotions like fear or guilt. The study, led by a renowned psychologist, requires them to wear smartwatches that track their moods and movements. When one of the students in the study is found murdered in the psychology building, a dangerous game of cat and mouse begins, and Chloe goes from hunter to prey. As she races to identify the killer and put her own plan into action, she will be forced to decide if she can trust any of her fellow psychopaths. And everyone knows you should never trust a psychopath. Never Saw Me Coming is a compulsive, voice-driven thriller by an exciting new name in fiction that will keep you pinned to the page and rooting for a would-be killer. If you get this one, I would encourage you to go on to Goodreads, or you can try to go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but they tend to reject reviews from people who didn't purchase the book through them. But Goodreads won't do that, because with a debut author, they need all the reviews they can get. Even if your review is, it was mostly good, but not really my thing, still. But that's Never Saw Me Coming. Last one came out in September as well. It's called Road of Bones, a Billy Boyle World War II mystery by James R. Benn. So if you're reading the Billy Boyle mysteries, this might be a good idea. Or if you like your mystery a little historical, it's September 1944, and the US is poised to launch Operation Frantic, a shuttle bombing mission to be conducted by American aircraft based in Great Britain, southern Italy, and 3 Soviet airfields in the Ukraine. Tensions are already high between the American and Russian allies when 2 intelligence agents, one Soviet, one American, are found dead at Poltava, one of the Ukraine bases. Billy is brought in to investigate, and this time he is paired, at the insistence of the Soviets, with a KGB agent who has his own political and personal agenda. In the course of an investigation that quickly spirals out of control, Billy is aided by the Night Witches, a daring regiment of young Soviet women flying at night at very low altitudes, bombing hundreds of German installations. It's a turning point in the war, and Allied efforts hang by a thread. Unless Billy and his KGB partner can solve the mysteries, Operation Frantic is doomed. So that's Road of Bones. All right. If you want any of these books, put the name of the book and your MPL location for pickup in the comments below. I will start giving them out tomorrow afternoon. Let's get into our books. Start by sharing the screen. If I get a little loopy, one of the reasons I can't send them out right away is because I'm not feeling well. So I'm going to go ahead and go home right after this. But my medication is kicked in. And I'm feeling better, but weird. So just bear with me. It'll all be fine. All right. Let's look at the books that are coming out in December. We're going to start with Into the Sound by Kara Reinhardt. During a superstorm, Holly Boswell receives a panicked call from her sister Vivian. Come get me. There's somebody coming. But when Holly arrives at a Long Island marina, there's only her sister's abandoned car. Vivian is gone. It's all eerily similar. Holly and Vivian used to play hide and seek as children. It was a reprieve from the mental abuses of their parents. Psychology professors who raised the siblings as if it were research. Decades later, Holly is reminded of their childhood games. In her relentless search for the answers, Holly is reading between the lines in Vivian's journal. She's untangling clues in their mother's diary and discovering secrets from her sister's private world that are casting a dangerous shadow. Maybe Vivian has reasons for wanting to disappear from her well-to-do life. Or is it something more sinister? As Holly follows Vivian's trail, she can't shake the feeling that someone might be following her. Okay, if you're interested in Into the Sound, it comes out December 1st. Next up is Unsafe Haven by Lucy Burdett, I think. 16-year-old Addison is on the run. She's leaving her life on New York City streets behind for one with Ralph, armed with just his phone number on a scrap of paper. She's taking the subway to meet him in New Jersey. He'll take care of her, so she thinks. Elizabeth Brown's world has fallen apart, and she's thinking about her newly ex-fiance, until she locks eyes with a teenage girl while waiting for the train doors to open, and a bundle is thrust into her arms as she leaves the subway. A baby wrapped in a dirty coat. Elizabeth phones the number she finds in the coat pocket, then wishes she hadn't. Someone wants Addison and the baby, and they'll do whatever it takes to get them. All right, that one is Unsafe Haven. It is coming out December 7th. Okay. Well, my notes say 48 hours. I thought the title said 48 hours. No, it says 48 hours. This medication, I tell you what, I'm not driving myself home, by the way. Which is good, because I can't be trusted behind the wheel right now. Okay. It is 48 Hours to Kill by Andrew Burrell? Not sure. Serving a 10-year sentence in a Nevada prison for armed robbery, Ethan Lockhart hopes that he can one day become a productive, law-abiding member of society. But society has other plans for Ethan. When he's given a 48-hour furlough to attend his sister Abby's funeral, he learns that her body was never found. Just enough blood to declare her dead instead of missing. And he begins to suspect that there's more to her death than was reported. Ethan decides to use his 48-hour window to find out what happened. But to get to the bottom of the mystery, he'll have to return to his unsavory past. Ethan teams up with his sister's best friend, Whitney, in a search for the truth. United in their shared grief, their chemistry, both emotional and physical, also begins to heat up. But romance goes on hold as the suspects mount. Ethan's old boss, Shark, a mid-level loan shark, now heads a criminal empire. As Ethan and Whitney uncover more clues, they become convinced that Shark is responsible for the murder, but they have no proof. Ethan is going to solve his sister's murder in 48 hours. He will have to become a criminal he swore he'd never be again. Okay, so that's 48 Hours to Kill, which is coming out December 7th. Next up, this is the one I actually, when doing my notes this morning, was like, I'm interested in that. So I went and requested the audiobook from NetGalley. And we'll see if they give it to me. And if I end up reading it, I will tell you about it afterwards on Tea and New Book Tuesday. I also have a review that I'll do next week. I was going to do it this week, but again, medication. I needed stuff I could just read off a page. So yes, next week will contain a review. But for right now, let's get into this book, The Hawthorne School by Sylvie Perry. Claudia Morgan is overwhelmed. She's a single parent trying the best that she can, but her 4-year-old son Henry is a handful for her and for his preschool. When Claudia hears about a school with an atypical teaching style near her Chicagoland home, she has to visit. The Hawthorne School is beautiful and has everything she dreamed of for Henry: time to play outside, music, and art. The head of the school, Zelma, will even let Claudia volunteer to cover the cost of tuition. The school is good for Henry. His behavioral problems disappear, and he comes home subdued instead of rageful. But there's something a bit off about the school: its cold halls and its enigmatic headmistress. When Henry brings home stories of ceremonies in the woods and odd rules, Claudia's instincts tell her that something isn't quite right, and she begins to realize she's caught in a web of manipulations and power. Okay, so that's The Hawthorne School. It comes out December 7th. Next up, True Crime Story by Joseph Knox. In the early hours of Saturday, the 17th of December in 2011, Zoe Nolan, a 19-year-old Manchester University student, walked out of a party taking place in the shared accommodations where she had been living for 3 months. She was never seen again. 7 years after her disappearance, struggling writer Evelyn Mitchell finds herself drawn into the mystery. Through interviews with Zoe's closest friends and family, she begins piecing together what really happened in 2011. But where some versions of events overlap, aligning perfectly with one another, others stand in stark contrast, giving rise to troubling inconsistencies. Shaken by revelations of Zoe's secret life and stalked by a figure from the shadows, Evelyn turns to crime writer Joseph Knox to help make sense of a case where everyone has something to hide. Zoe Nolan may be missing, presumed dead, but her story is just beginning. Okay, if you are interested in true crime story, it comes. I'm not positive this is fiction. Because the person turns to author Joseph Knox, who is the literal author of the book. So either he's written himself as a character in his book, or this is nonfiction. Having said that, it's true crimes. It's a true crime story. That's the title. And if you're interested in mysteries, you may also be interested in true crime. I know I am. So yeah, if you're interested in true crime story, which apparently might be nonfiction, it comes out December 7th. All right, our second to last book. This is one a lot of people are really excited about. And it does look interesting. It's called The Ballerinas by Rachel Kapelke Dale. 14 years ago, Delphine abandoned her prestigious soloist spot at the Paris Opera Ballet for a new life in St. Petersburg, taking with her a secret that could upend the lives of her best friends, fellow dancers, Lindsay and Margot. Now 36 years old, Delphine has returned to her former home and to the legendary Palais Garnier Opera House to choreograph the ballet that will kickstart the next phase of her career, and, she hopes, finally make things right with her former friends. But Delphine quickly discovers that things have been changed since she's been away, and some secrets can't stay buried forever. Moving between the trio's adolescent years and present day, the Ballerinas explores the complexities of female friendship, the dark drive towards physical perfection in the name of artistic expression, the double-edged sword of ambition and passion, and the sublimated rage that so many women hold inside, all culminating in a twist you won't see coming, with magnetic characters you won't soon forget. All right. If you're interested in the Ballerinas, it comes out December 7th because almost everything comes out December 7th, except this one. My Darling Husband by Kimberly Bell. Jade and Cam Lasky are, by all accounts, a happily married couple with 2 adorable kids, a spacious home, and a rapidly growing restaurant business. But their world is tipped upside down when Jade is confronted by a masked home invader. As Cam scrambles to gather the ransom money, Jade starts to wonder if they're as financially secure as their lifestyle suggests, and what other secrets her husband is keeping from her. Cam may be a good father, a celebrity chef, and a darling husband, but there's another side he's kept hidden from Jade that has put their family in danger. Unbeknownst to Cam and Jade, the home invader has been watching them and is about to turn their family secrets into a public scandal. With riveting twists and a breakneck pace, My Darling Husband is an utterly compelling thriller that once again showcases Kimberly Bell's exceptional talent for domestic suspense. So if you like your suspense domestic, My Darling Husband comes out December 28th. All right. Do not forget, enter the giveaway if you want one of these 6 books. And let me know in the comments if you don't want one of these 6 books and you'd just like me to suggest something. I'm more than happy to do so. The link for the newsletter is in the description below. I've had people ask, it's actually called MPL Pre-Orders, not Tea and New Book Tuesday, but I may change the name soon because I think that might be confusing for you guys. It's confusing, right? Yeah, I'm probably going to change the name. As of right now, it's still MPL Pre-Orders though, and you can get to it from the link in the description. Also, on our Goodreads group, I've already done a discussion post that's about the mostly series updates that I eliminated from this show. There are a lot of them. So if you think your favorite mystery is about to update in December, go like skim that and see if you see that title because it might be there. All right, next week we are going to do a genre potluck, which will be romance, historical fiction, science fiction, fantasy, and horror all in one. And if you are interested in that, then by all means join me next Tuesday. I will see you